Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 22nd of December 2024. We're publishing our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 20th of December. Firstly, our apologies for being off for over 2 weeks. It wasn't expected. The first week was a breakaway, but we returned later than planned, and then we sent out a video stating we were going to produce a video the next day, but then had a slight family crisis which prevented this. All is calm now and issues resolved. So we are providing our update figures, and we'll compare them slightly with how things have gone since our last report on the 30th of November. So with that in mind, let's take a look. Okay, gold fell $26 last week and closed at $2,624. And it's actually down $26 from 3 weeks ago. Its week's high was $2,665 and its low was $2,585. So overall a fall of 1%. Its spread between high and low was $80. In sterling terms, gold fell £14, closing at £2,090, but this is £7 higher than it was 3 weeks ago. And in euros, it fell €4, closing at €2,521, which is some €15 higher than 3 weeks ago. Silver fell $1.03 to $29.55, which is $1.08 lower than when we last reported. It did hit a high last week of $31 and a low of $28.85, a fall of 3.4%. The difference between its high and low was $2.15. In sterling terms, silver closed at £23.58, down 71 pence and down 51 pence from our last report. And in euros, it closed at €28.46. That's down €0.71 and down €0.50 from 3 weeks ago. The gold to silver ratio stands at 88.8, which is over 2 points higher than when we last reported. Bitcoin is currently $94,840. Took a bit of a hit this last few days, though we have seen it over $107,000 at one point. Now, despite equities rising over 1% on Friday, compared with 3 weeks ago, they're down between 2 and 4% depending on the index. The Dow Jones closed at 42,840. The S&P 500 closed at 5,930. The Nasdaq Composite closed at 19,572. And the FTSE 100 index closed at 8,084. Oils are marginally higher than 3 weeks ago by around $1 a barrel, with Brent crude closing at $72.94 and WTI crude closing at $69.46. If we're going to see inflation fall, we need these figures below $70. However, the dollar index is up almost 2 points compared with the 30th of November and currently stands at a hefty 107.6. So what has happened these past few weeks to cause precious metals and equities to dip a little? Well, partially some profit taking towards the end of the year, and the realization from the Fed announcement that the 3 or 4 interest rate cuts expected in 2025 may now only materialize into 2 cuts for the year. You see, last Tuesday the Fed cut its Fed funds rate by 0.25% or 25 basis points, arguing that a weaker labour market allowed them the flexibility to do this, even though inflation is rising, but also promising, though, that the battle against inflation is long from over, and so the Fed will now futuristically adopt a more hawkish stance. Well, that said, on Friday, which is why equities rose, the PCE index came in quite favourable, with the year-over-year figure only rising from 2.3 to 2.4, when markets were anticipating a rise to 2.5%, and the core PCE figures came in at 2.8%, which were unchanged, when the markets had expected a rise to 2.9. But let's be clear about something. we're still some way off the Fed target of 2% inflation. And the FOMC will now not be making another rate decision until the 1st of February. And so the markets have to undergo a degree of uncertainty for at least 6 weeks, during which time a new US president will be inaugurated. Now, this coming week, which will be short due to the Christmas break, will reveal consumer confidence figures on Monday and new home sales on Tuesday. Not really much to talk about here. The week after that, again, no announcements due of any real significance, and so any market moves are more likely to be dictated by geopolitical and local political events. If one believes that the Trump presidency will re-energize US trade, then we could indeed see silver becoming a major beneficiary. And some analysts are predicting $50 silver next year. However, if Trump introduces penal tariffs, which slows down international trade, then silver could take a beating. Now, gold's future, at least in the first quarter of 2025, will be predominantly determined by inflation, jobs data, and any shift in Fed sentiment. You see, the Fed's recent hawkish stance may very well see gold fall back to $2,500, especially if the US dollar remains strong and at these elevated levels. Still remember, there's at least $100 and perhaps $150 premium in the gold price due to the intensity of international conflicts. Should peace be agreed between Russia and Ukraine, and a real ceasefire happens between Israel and Palestine, gold could fall back by these amounts, almost upon the signing of such agreements. Now, unless something spectacular happens between now and at least the second week of January, gold is likely to be range-bound between $2,500 and $2,700, and silver between $28 and $32. So where do we forecast silver and gold coming this following week, and perhaps even the next 2 weeks? Well, this week we expect gold to trade between $2,575 and $2,675. with $2,550 and $2,700 as outliers. Silver, we expect to trade between $28.25 and $31, with $28 at the low and $31.25 at the high in terms of outliers. What do you think is going to happen? We'd appreciate it if you would send and share your thoughts below. We shall be producing a video at the end of this coming week, and hopefully 2 or 3 videos during this Christmas/New Year's break, covering other precious metals as well. So make sure you are tuned in. Hopefully no more family crises on our part. And all that remains is for us to ask you, please, to pop on over to Finances Do Matter. Not much has happened over there in recent weeks. We are preparing a image and topic change there, so make sure you are subscribed. But all that remains now is for you to have a really very Merry Christmas, or if you don't follow the Christian faith, Happy Holidays, and we'll be in touch in 7 days' time.